Today's news highlights. Date February 5, 2025. News highlights: the Trump administration imposed tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China in an effort to curb fentanyl and illegal immigration. Hassett stressed that this is a drug war and not a trade war. Canada retaliated by imposing retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. After Trump communicated with the leaders of Canada and Mexico, Canada promised to tighten border controls, the United States suspended tariffs for 30 days, and Mexico sent 10,000 additional troops to guard the border. China is alleged to be the main source of fentanyl precursors, and the United States, Mexico, and Canada will cooperate, and tariffs may still be imposed if no agreement is reached within 30 days. News highlights: the artist S died suddenly due to influenza complicated by pneumonia, which caused the public to rush to get the flu vaccine, and the number of publicly funded vaccines exceeded 40,000 doses in a single day. Minister of Health and Welfare Chu Taiyuan said that there are 160,000 doses of publicly funded vaccines left, and called on high-risk groups to be vaccinated as soon as possible, and the epidemic is expected to ease in 1 to 2 weeks. The CDC stressed that herd immunity has exceeded 30%, and there is no need to panic, and reminded people to seek medical attention as soon as possible if they have high fever and difficulty breathing. Vaccinations are pouring in, and local governments are actively fighting for vaccine replenishment to cope with the surge in demand. News highlights: Chinese AI company DeepSeek has been scrutinized by multiple countries over concerns about data security and cognitive warfare. The U.S. Department of Defense, NASA, Congress, and Taiwan have banned it, and Italy has removed it from the shelves. DeepSeek has been accused of following the CCP's political standards, avoiding sensitive issues, and potentially becoming a tool for data surveillance and ideological expansion. The source of its technology and its low-cost advantages have also been questioned. Australia, the United States, Europe, and other countries have successively restricted its application to prevent potential national security risks. News highlights: the revision of the land planning law has sparked controversy, and local governments have set up urban and rural development areas in order to pursue land price appreciation, so as to avoid the classification of agricultural land into agricultural development zones, resulting in the neglect of the problem of food self-sufficiency. The deregulation of agricultural land has limited agricultural development and worsened the aging trend. Farmland in Pingtung, Yunnan and other places has shrunk sharply, indicating that local government planning is unbalanced. The relaxation of non-agricultural projects on agricultural land in the land law may further confuse land management and make the future of agriculture worrisome. News highlights: the U.S. has accused China of being partly responsible for the fentanyl epidemic and has imposed new tariffs on Chinese goods as a result. Fentanyl is so potent that it has caused mass deaths in the United States, which the United States believes is a key chemical ingredient provided by Chinese companies and smuggled through Mexico. Despite China's emphasis on strict drug control, U.S.-China cooperation in the fight against fentanyl has been hampered by bilateral relations. The United States has imposed sanctions on Chinese companies, but smuggling continues. Experts believe that whether the tariff war will prompt China to step up the ban is still full of uncertainties. News highlights: Taiwan stocks rebounded yesterday, 4th, due to the postponement of the United States to impose tariffs on Canada and Mexico, rising 99 points to 22,793 points after falling heavily in the red session. The 3 major legal persons still sold more than 20.97 billion yuan, and the 8 major public stock banks bought more than 3.81 billion yuan. The new Taiwan dollar depreciated to 32.985 yuan due to the impact of the U.S.-China tariff war. The market paid attention to the trend of AI stocks and weighted stocks. TSMC closed up 25 yuan, and the battle for the king of stocks was white hot. Experts believe that the weakening of Nvidia's stock price will affect the medium-term trend of Taiwan stocks, and the short-term market is expected to fluctuate at 22,523,500 points. News highlights: artist Suzy Wan, Big S, passed away suddenly, and the issue of inheritance distribution attracted attention. Experts suggest that those who remarry or reorganize their families should ensure that their assets are distributed according to their own wishes and avoid legal disputes through wills, testamentary trusts, and gifts during their lifetime. Testamentary trusts can prevent the property of minor children from being used by guardians, and living gifts can use the annual allowance of 2.44 million yuan to reduce the inheritance tax burden. Experts remind that those who have multiple marriages should plan carefully to avoid disputes over inheritance rights, and arrange in advance to protect the rights and interests of their families. News highlights: if former U.S. President Trump imposes 100% tariffs on Taiwanese chips, it may seriously impact the global semiconductor supply chain, causing the price of U.S. chips to rise by 59% and the cost of enterprises to increase significantly. Experts pointed out that this move may prompt American companies to move their business overseas, and even accelerate the transfer of Taiwan's semiconductor business to Malaysia, Vietnam, and other places, further affecting the competitiveness of the U.S. technology industry. In addition, although TSMC invested $65 billion to build a factory in the United States is still unable to replace TSMC's production capacity in the short term, and the tariff policy may backfire, triggering a trade war and the risk of industrial relocation. News highlights: according to the data of the Real Estate Information Platform, the number of mortgage loans nationwide reached 315 in the second quarter of 2024, a record high, an increase of 20 from 2023, indicating that consumers' acceptance of long-term housing loans has increased, and the average mortgage term of Chinese people has reached 26.25 years. Xinyi Housing Analysis pointed out that a 30-year mortgage has become the standard for home purchases, and a long-term mortgage can reduce the monthly burden. Taking a $10 million mortgage as an example, the monthly repayment for a 20-year term is about $51,500, and the 30-year term drops to $38,000. News highlights: Luo's Hixiang, Little Pig, has just held a New Year's Eve concert at Kaohsiung Arena, and has recently been busy preparing for Taipei and Tokyo. After the end of the year, he appeared at his trendy brand store Got No Fears to interact with fans, and then sent his friends back to W Hotel with gifts. After that, go to the Kure Route Izakaya for dinner to show affinity. When he was invited to perform in Taichung, he sang in the finale, stirring up the atmosphere. When it comes to health, he revealed that he has a physical examination every year, drinks enough water to maintain a frozen age state, and mourns the sudden death of DS, which is emotional. News highlights: last year, China Leasing was accused of lending low interest rates and high loans to builders, fearing that it would become a breach of the house, so the FSC asked the banks to set up 4 lines of defense to strictly control them. However, China Leasing has recently published an advertisement on Facebook for corporate loans, emphasizing rapid disbursement, which has raised questions about the evasion of regulation. The FSC said that the Association of Banks continued to conduct audits, but it was difficult to determine whether the loan funds were flowing into the housing market. The Banking Bureau believes that fast lending is the main business of the financial leasing industry, and it is difficult to determine the violation. Legislator Wang Shijian has not yet responded to this. News highlights Big S died in Japan due to influenza complicated by pneumonia, which aroused the attention of the outside world to Japan's medical treatment. Cheng Kar-chun, the chicken chop girl on the wedding day, sighed please cherish Taiwan's health insurance and shared her friend's difficult experience of seeking medical treatment in Japan. She revealed that it is difficult to get a big hospital without a clinic referral, and even requires additional fees, and the waiting time for consultation is as long as a month, which is far less convenient than in Taiwan. Netizens also recognized the advantages of Taiwan's medical system, pointing out that many countries also have a long wait for medical treatment. News highlights S. Suzy Wan, died suddenly of influenza complicated by pneumonia in Japan during the Spring Festival, and her husband Gu Junyi and her relatives and friends were grief-stricken. South Korean designer Lee Sang-bong revealed that he immediately contacted Gu Junyi after learning the news, and the other party replied I did my best late at night, showing his inner grief. Lee Sang-bong was worried that the delicate Gu Junyi would not be able to bear the pain of losing his wife, so he could only encourage him to be strong. The wife of Cool Dragon's partner Jong Eun-lai also revealed that Gu Junyi still can't let go of Big S, and hopes that everyone will pray for her to rest in peace. News highlights former US President Donald Trump allegedly attempted an assassination in July 2024 and threatened to completely annihilate Iran if Iran succeeds in assassinating him. However, the news has not been confirmed by any authoritative media and is suspected of being fake. While the United States has warned that Iran may seek revenge for Lebanese death, there is no conclusive evidence that Iran plans to assassinate Trump. News highlights Chinese fraud syndicates not only trafficked people, but now it has been revealed that they have deceived Thai women to Georgia and forced them to retrieve their eggs every month, and the eggs are suspected to be sold to other countries to make IVF. The victim applied for a surrogate through Facebook, lured to Georgia with a high salary, and was imprisoned, and the ransom was too high to escape. Thailand's Pavina Foundation for Children and Women has rescued some of the victims and called on the government to join hands with China to crack down on this criminal network to rescue more than 100 Thai women who are still stranded. News highlights best-selling author Wang Yun held a criticism meeting to punish accountancy AI Nu due to financial dissatisfaction, and ordered the 3 Dharma protectors Yu Ziyuling, Liang Bai, and Gan Ziyun to inflict high-intensity corporal punishment, resulting in CAI Nu's death due to rhabdomyolysis. Afterwards, the body was pushed back to the house. The prosecutors and police ascertained the evidence, arrested Wang Yu and related personnel one after another, and the 3 major protectors of the law were detained for the crime of causing death by injury, and some believers were handed over on bail pending summons. The investigation of the case continues, and the prosecution investigates the responsibility of other persons present. News highlights Gu Yansuoyun, the wife of former SEF chairman Ku Zhenfu, passed away on February 4 at the age of 105. Born in 1920, she has been actively involved in social welfare, reforming the Women's Federation, promoting education, medical care, and disaster relief, and participating in international women's organizations to help the weak and the poor. In 2006, she received the World Outstanding Women Leadership Award. In addition, she also supports peaceful cross-strait exchanges, participated in the Kuwang talks, and promoted cultural and women's exchanges. The Morning Hall is located in the Shimin Hall of the Thai Cement Building and is open to relatives and friends from February 6 to 12. News highlights the United States recently announced its withdrawal from the World Health Organization, WHO, which has attracted global attention. WHO Secretary General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus stressed that the WHO has undergone large-scale reforms over the past 7 years and called on the United States to reconsider its decision. The withdrawal of the United States, the largest donor to the WHO, accounting for about 18% of total funding, will lead to a budget shortfall that will affect the global public health response. The WHO Executive Board met in Geneva and proposed to reduce the base plan budget from $5.3 billion to $4.9 billion for 2026 to 2027, affecting polio eradication programs and emergency response funding. News highlights DS was infected with influenza and died suddenly of pneumonia, triggering a wave of vaccination, and clinics around the country were overcrowded, and the number of vaccinations in a single day reached a new high. Publicly funded influenza vaccines in Taipei, New Taipei, and Taichung were rapidly consumed, and some clinics took the opportunity to increase registration fees, causing controversy. According to the CDC, there are still 160,000 doses of publicly funded vaccines nationwide, with a coverage rate of 30%, and another 400,000 doses of self-financed vaccines are available. News highlights the well-known artist DS, Suzy Wan, traveled to Hakone, Japan with her husband Gu Junyi and her family on January 29, unfortunately contracted influenza complicated by pneumonia, and died in Tokyo Hospital on February 2 at the age of 48. She attended the banquet of Wang Weishong's daughter Ginning on January 25, becoming the last public appearance. Friend Lin Huijing mourned on IG, I believe we will meet again. Big S had a bright smile before his death, was kind and chivalrous, and left good memories, which was reluctant. News highlights artist DS, Suzy Wan, died of influenza complicated by pneumonia at the age of 48, and the outside world paid attention to the condition of her husband Gu Junyi. Lee Sang-bong, a well-known South Korean designer, revealed that he had sent a message to care about Gu Junyi, but the other party only responded, I did my best. Lee Sang-bong was worried about his delicate and fragile personality, worried that he could not bear the pain of losing his wife, and cheered him up, come on, Junyi, may Seo Hee-won rest in peace. News highlights 46-year-old actress Hong Xiaoling and Zhang Tianlin registered their marriage in 2024 and ushered in the good news of pregnancy, and are now 3 months pregnant. She posted a pregnant belly photo for the first time in the community today, 4th, revealing that there was little change in the early days, and she gradually felt mother's feeling recently. Because of her lack of personality, her family was more nervous than her, laughing that she was worried that she would take the baby out and forget to bring it home. Fans blessed one after another, and her husband Zhang Tianlin left a sweet message. Wow. It's beautiful. News highlights: in order to strengthen the defense of the capital, the Taiwan military adjusted the deployment of the Marine Corps, and the 66th Brigade of the Marine Corps and the 202nd Command of the Military Police jointly carried out the security defense of Greater Taipei. The troops were pushed forward from Baitu to Songshan Airport and more than 100 officers and men were stationed there. Defense Minister Gu Licheng inspected the troops on Chinese New Year's Eve and expressed his condolences and expectations. In response to the potential threat of the CCP, the 66th Brigade of the Marine Corps was restructured into a strategic reserve of the General Staff Headquarters, and a drone unit was added to enhance the capital's garrison capability. News highlights: Li Wenzhong, Executive Director of the National Defense and Security Research Institute, suddenly resigned after half a year in office, and the official website of the National Defense Academy has removed his position information and replaced it with Liu Fengjiu. Li Wenzhong served as Vice Chairman of the National Defense Council for 8 years, and after taking office at the National Defense Yuan, he actively promoted reform and tried to build it into an international-level national defense think tank. However, his strong style has aroused different evaluations inside and outside the hospital, and even internal whistleblowing. Neither the National Defense Yuan nor the military has specified the reason for the resignation, and it remains to be clarified whether there is an internal dispute. News highlights: US President Donald Trump said Tuesday that if Iran assassinated him, the United States would wipe out Iran completely. He signed a memorandum to resume maximum pressure on Iran in an effort to reduce Iranian oil exports to zero and prevent Tehran from acquiring nuclear weapons. Trump stressed that Iran cannot possess nuclear weapons and noted that he is willing to reach a deal with Iran. Trump recalled that he had ordered the assassination of Iranian General Soleimani in 2019 and revealed that Iran had threatened him several times. The United States has cracked Iran's plan to assassinate Trump, but Iran has denied it. News highlights: artist Su Ziwan died of influenza complicated by pneumonia during a trip to Japan at the age of 48. Medical expenses in Japan can run into the millions, and Taiwan's travel insurance may not be adequately covered. Physician Hayashi introduced Tokyo Marine Nichido Japan Travel Insurance, which provides 100% reimbursement for medical, hospitalization, surgery, and medical removal expenses, up to a maximum of 10 million yen. The insurance is only valid for illness or injury and needs to be taken out within 5 days of arrival in Japan. This insurance pays for medical expenses directly, so you don't need to file a claim after you return to your home country. News highlights: Zhang Yingying recently posted an article revealing that she had been the third party in the marriage between Wang Xiaofei and Big S, and deeply reviewed the relationship between Wang Xiaofei and Big S that she had witnessed. She described the SS hardships and grievances in marriage, and criticized Wang Xiaofei's indifference and disrespect to the S, pointing out Wang Xiaofei's physical and mental harm to the S, as well as the online violence he and his mother committed against the S. Zhang Yingying mentioned that she had paid a lot for Wang Xiaofei, but in the end she was still hurt by Wang Xiaofei and her family, and lamented Wang Xiaofei's behavior and the public's beautification of her image. News highlights: Kim Woong-seo, the South Korean fitness influencer and former bodybuilder, passed away suddenly on February 3 at the age of 38. The family announced that the cause of death was a heart attack, but the day after the death was announced, his social media account posted a seemingly drastic post full of hatred and curses, specifically targeting a partner, accusing him of being a fraudster and saying, "I will resent and curse this fraudster." This has led to doubts about whether the cause of Mr. Kim's death was related to his partner or other personal issues, as the content of the post appeared very unusual and vehement, different from his past portrayal. The incident sparked more discussion about whether he was in trouble during his lifetime and whether there were any unresolved controversies. News highlights: Zhao Xiaokong commented on the recall movement launched by the Green Camp on the program, saying that Yayunzi's recall incident was unlucky because the people who initiated the recall were not the original supporters, but other voters. He pointed out that it is not wise for the DPP to ignite a wave of recall in an all-round way, and it may be futile, but it will only exacerbate polarization. If the recall atmosphere heats up and the reaction is strong, the DPP may also be recalled in the future, and the results may not be as expected. News highlights: the recall movement has spread in Taiwan, and in response to the signature activities of Ma Wenjun, a member of the Blue Committee, a civic group recently collected a joint petition at the Louisa Pulley distillery store, but was persuaded to leave by the shopkeeper and issued a notice to refuse all political activities of all parties. The move sparked a fierce confrontation between supporters and opponents, with the Bluebird group protesting on Louisa's Facebook page calling for a boycott. However, some netizens strongly supported Louisa, advocating that the store should not be used as a place for political activities, emphasizing that the neutrality of the business place should be maintained. News highlights: during talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, US President Donald Trump said that Palestinians should permanently leave the corridor in the Gaza Strip and support resettlement. Trump proposed that the United States take over Gaza, be responsible for rebuilding and dismantling unexploded ordnance, and develop the area into the Middle Eastern Côte d'Azur for people around the world. He did not rule out the deployment of US troops to support reconstruction, but also faced challenges from allies such as Egypt and Jordan opposing the relocation of Palestinians. Trump said he ultimately believes he can convince allies to accept the Palestinians. News highlights: the cold snap has gradually weakened since today's daytime, but northern Taiwan will remain cold tomorrow. Meteorological expert Zhu Xingxing predicts that starting on the evening of Friday, 7th, the cold air will strengthen again, reaching the cold snap level with intensity, affecting it until Sunday, 9th. Extreme low temperatures of 4 to 6 degrees are likely to occur in the open area north of Mili, and the Taipei Meteorological Station predicts that the low temperature will drop to 9.5 degrees. It is coldest from late Friday night to early Saturday morning, and the rain will dry out from Saturday, with only brief rains in the north and eastern half of Darwin, and the rain will decrease on Sunday. News highlights: the artist S passed away due to influenza complicated by pneumonia, triggering a wave of flu vaccines in Taiwan. Obstetrician and gynecologist Su Yanning reminded on Facebook that the flu vaccine is a seasonal commodity, and it will be gone after the shot. Don't blame the government for not preparing enough vaccines, and it is difficult to predict fluctuations in vaccine demand. The flu vaccine needs to be revaccinated every year because the virus strain varies from year to year. The CDC said that there are currently 160,000 doses of publicly funded vaccines left, and herd immunity has exceeded 30%, so there is no need to panic excessively. News highlights: the artist S died of influenza complicated by pneumonia, and her ex-husband Wang Xiaofei flew to Taiwan after learning about it, and when she faced the media, she broke down emotionally, calling for more good things about S, and emphasizing that she will always be family. Later, he was photographed walking alone in the rain, which was criticized by some netizens as a show. The well-known lawyer Li Yijin initially thought that Wang Xiaofei was sincerely broken, but after learning that he left a message in the video, such as "Wife, I miss you so much," etc., he changed his mind and thought that Wang Xiaofei behaved irrationally. News highlights: the U.S. Congress recently introduced the Taiwan Non-Discrimination Act, calling for support for Taiwan's accession to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and breaking China's diplomatic blockade. The bill emphasizes that Taiwan, as the world's 21st largest economy, should have a voice and be able to contribute to global financial stability. Although Taiwan is not a member of the United Nations, the bill uses Kosovo as an example to point out that UN membership is not the only threshold for joining the IMF, and supports Taiwan's access to IMF job opportunities and technical assistance. News highlights: former DPP legislator Gao Jie recently fiercely criticized Blue Committee member Li Yangzhe for buying a luxury house in California, accusing her of hiding many properties and failing to declare them. Gao Jie pointed out that Li Yangzhe owns a number of California properties and questioned the source of his funds for buying a house of more than 100 million yuan. Gao also raised the issue of Li's use of California real estate as his primary residence, questioned whether he held a green card and involved the unclear source of the property, asked Li to explain these issues, and emphasized that his failure to declare overseas assets may be illegal. News highlights: Taipei Mayor Zhang Wanren recently participated in the Taipei Lantern Festival with representatives of the Taiwan Exchange Association of Japan and wrote prayer cards. However, he misspelled the word snake as house, which attracted the attention of netizens. In response to this incident, Zhang Wanren laughed at himself at the Taipei International Book Fair and said that he would go home and write well. City Councilor Chan Yiquan pointed out that as a mayor, he should pay attention to details and called on his staff to help prevent similar mistakes from happening again. News highlights: Wang Yun, real name Wang Zhongzhen, a well-known Buddhist literary writer, is suspected of instructing his followers to lynch him, causing the death of a 52-year-old female believer surnamed Cai, due to the unclear handling of Cai's accounts. Cai Nu was severely beaten to death in July 2024, and nearly 2 million yuan in her account was also taken away. The prosecution found that Wang Yun and others were involved in the case, and applied for detention and were approved. After investigation, Wang Yun invited Cai Nu to serve as a private accountant, and violently attacked Cai Nu with his followers in a reading club. Prosecutors are still investigating other believers involved in the case, and have repeatedly summoned entertainer Li Wei to help clarify the case. News highlights: thoracic physician Su Yifeng yesterday issued an article explaining the big white lung, pointing out that it refers to dyspnea caused by severe pneumonia, and the alveoli are filled with sputum and inflamed water, resulting in the inability to exchange gas, and the patient drowns due to sputum. The condition, he said, is common with severe pneumonia caused by the flu and can develop into sepsis. Su Yifeng explained that the cause of death of DS was severe white lung caused by influenza pneumonia, and reminded that pneumonia and sepsis often coexist, both of which may cause death, emphasizing that pneumonia is sometimes menacing and difficult to prevent. News highlights: Big S recently passed away due to pneumonia caused by influenza, which shocked the entertainment industry and sparked heated discussions. In the past, there were numerologists who predicted the fate of the Su family such as Big and Small S, which mentioned that Xiao S had 4 daughters and 1 son in her life, but she currently only has 3 daughters, which is a coincidence with her family situation. DS' children were born to her and Wang Xiaofei, and DS had custody after the divorce. Now after the death of DS, according to the provisions of Taiwan's civil law, the custody of the child will be transferred to Wang Xiaofei. Xiao S.'s intimate relationship with his 2 nephews is also in line with the prophecy of 4 daughters and 1 son, which caused netizens to marvel. News highlights: Big S, Su Ziwan, died suddenly of influenza complicated by pneumonia at the age of 48, shocking the entertainment industry. Her ex-husband Wang Xiaofei rushed back to Taiwan from Thailand and left a message on Douyin to express her sadness, saying it should be me who died, but was criticized by some netizens for loading. Wang Xiaofei responded by admitting that she was wrong, and expressed her gratitude to the netizens who scolded him. After he returned to the mansion, he lost control of his emotions, looked in a trance, and walked in the rain, so that the public paid attention to his condition. News highlights: Taiwan Lottery analyzed the battle between Lotto and Power K during the Spring Festival, and pointed out that on the second day of the Lunar New Year, 1/30th, the Lotto opened a jackpot of 2 notes of 187 million yuan, of which the Quanfa Shun Lottery coupon shop in Dongxi District, Taichung City, raised funds to buy 84 notes with 42 people, won 1 note jackpot and many other prizes, and each person could receive an average prize of 1 million. TK pointed out that the Lotto Spring Festival has been extended to February 12th, and reminded that raising funds to buy tickets can improve the chances of winning and avoid tax disputes when distributing high prizes. News highlights: actress DS, Su Ziwan, unfortunately passed away on February 2nd due to influenza complicated by pneumonia during the Chinese New Year at the age of 48. According to Japanese law, the ashes of Big S will be escorted back to Taiwan by Xiao S and Gu Junyi on tomorrow, 6, and the funeral hall will be arranged to be set up at the Taipei Civil Rights Hall in Longji, which is the same as the farewell ceremony of Xiao S's father-in-law Su Qingxiang. Big S loved beauty during his lifetime, and published the best-selling beauty books Beauty King and Exposing Female Stars. Gu Junyi once shared a sweet photo with Big S in a Korean show, showing her natural beauty. News highlights: at least 10 people, including the gunman, were killed in a mass shooting at an adult education center in Sweden on Tuesday. Witnesses captured footage of the gunman firing and described the thrilling moments of teachers and students hiding under desks on campus. Police quickly arrived and arrested the suspect with the gun, ruling out a terrorist attack, but the motive of the gunman is unclear. The Swedish Prime Minister called the shooting the most serious incident in the country's history, and the authorities will conduct a detailed investigation and make the results public. News highlights: Kaohsiung City Police uncovered a drug trafficking syndicate that rented a mansion near Kaohsiung Art Museum Road at a monthly rent of 28,000 yuan as a drug warehouse and distribution yard, and used little bees to sell drugs. The police have been ambushing and monitoring since November last year, and in early December, they successfully arrested 6 members and seized drugs with a market value of more than 6 million yuan, including etomidate, ketamide, and poisoned coffee pods. The police stressed that they will continue to strengthen the crackdown on drug-related crimes and protect social security. News highlights the sudden death of Big S, Seo Hee-won, shocked the outside world, and South Korean fashion designer Lee Sang-bong was worried that his friend Gu Junhee would not be able to bear the pain. Lee Sang-bong revealed that after learning the news, he contacted Gu Junhee, and learned that he had replied, "I did my best late at night." Lee Sang-bong comforted, "Cheer up, Junhee, come on," and said that he was very worried about Gu Junhee's fragile character and worried that he would not be able to bear the pain of losing Big S. He also hopes that Gu Junhee can get out of the pain as soon as possible. News highlights South Korean Beast Boy Group 2PM member Yoo recently came with the good news of a successful marriage proposal. He and his girlfriend outside the circle who have been dating for 4 years spent a romantic time in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Yoo knelt down with a diamond ring to propose, and his girlfriend was moved to tears. The proposal photo was mistakenly uploaded by the photography studio, and his girlfriend's appearance was exposed for the first time, which was beautiful and natural, which aroused heated discussions among fans. Although the photo has been deleted and Yoo agency has not yet responded, fans have sent their blessings and look forward to their future love journey. News highlights the well-known artist D.S. Suzy Won, passed away due to influenza complicated by pneumonia on the 2nd at the age of 48, shocking the showbiz and fans. After the Golden Song, Jeon Yeon sadly revealed that she originally met with Big S, Little S, and Gu Junhee to have dinner and enjoy her concert, but unexpectedly, Big S passed away, which broke her heartbreak. Jeon Yeon recalled that D.S cared about her when she was sick and vowed to meet. She said sadly that D.S is an angel full of positive energy, praying for her to rest in peace and praying for her family, hoping that D.S' family can be safe as soon as possible. News highlights after Big S died suddenly, Wang Xiaofei behaved abnormally and made remarks such as "I should be the one who died," which attracted attention. Ex-girlfriend Zhang Yingying posted an article accusing Wang Xiaofei of using D.S' death to create an emotional image, and revealed that she had suffered verbal violence and indifference in the past. Senior paparazzi Ji Suki criticized Zhang Yingying for not coming out to blame, and hinted that she had an intimate relationship with Wang Xiaofei, and the incident sparked heated discussions on the internet. News highlights Big S passed away in Japan due to influenza complicated by pneumonia, which once again aroused concern about the severity of influenza. In 2015, Li Bingbing suffered from tonsil inflammation caused by a cold while filming in Australia, and her body temperature soared to 41 degrees. She shared her experience of the difference between medical care abroad and Chinese society, and reminded people of the importance of timely medical treatment. News highlights Taiwanese artist D.S. Suzy Won, went to Japan with his family for the Spring Festival on January 29, during which he unfortunately passed away due to influenza complicated by pneumonia at the age of 48, shocking the entertainment industry. A photo of D.S. and her husband Gu Junhee was circulated on the internet, showing that she seemed unwell on January 29. According to the tour guide, D.S. developed cough and asthma symptoms after arriving in Japan, and was sent to the hospital on the 31st to be diagnosed with influenza A without further treatment. His condition deteriorated rapidly on February 1, and he was finally declared dead on the morning of February 2. News highlights actress D.S. Suzy Won, died of influenza complicated by pneumonia at the age of 48. D.S.'s body has been cremated in Japan, and her husband Gu Junhee and her sister Xiao S escorted the ashes back to Taiwan for burial. It is reported that the mourning hall will be located at the Taipei Civil Rights Hall in Longji, which is the same as the farewell ceremony of Xiao S.'s father-in-law and Su Yejin's father. Xiao S.'s agent said that the return time will not be disclosed, and thanks everyone for their understanding and support. News highlights the open-source AI models DeepSeek R1 and V3 launched by China's AI startup DeepSeek can enhance the inference effect and promote the application of edge AI at a significantly lower cost than the existing large models, which has a significant impact on the industrial computer community. Advanteca's 2,395 share price rose sharply to a limit of 412.5 yuan, and related companies such as Ixun 3,088, Neoneo 6,922, Xinhan 8,234, and Guangxi 8,050 also rose significantly. Advanteca's business growth in the edge AI space is expected to grow significantly, and it is actively entering the medical, transportation, and semiconductor markets. News highlights U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war tactics have made it elusive for investors, and the bond market has shown contradictory signals, affecting the U.S. stock market. The yield on the 2-year Treasury note was close to 4.21% and the 10-year yield was close to 4.51%, both higher than in August last year. The market is divided between concerns about rising prices and the Fed's cautious approach to cutting interest rates, and concerns about tariffs raising prices and slowing economic growth. Analysts recommend short-term bonds, as they still have high yields, and stress that you should not take on too much interest rate risk before the economy slows. News highlights the number of newborns in Taiwan in 2024 in the year of the dragon will only be 134,856, and the birth rate will hit a record low, indicating that the problem of declining birth rates is worsening. Although the declining birth rate affects demand, the current majority of home buyers are 35 to 45-year-olds, and the impact of the declining birth rate on the housing market is still limited. In addition, the flow of population to metropolitan areas reduces the impact of declining birth rate on the urban housing market. The declining birth rate has led to a decrease in the transaction volume of large pings, and small houses have become the mainstream of the market, especially favored by petty bourgeoisie. However, home buyers should consider future birth plans and pay attention to the bank's loan approval conditions for small homes. News highlights physician writer Tsai Yi-cheng criticized the actions of the Kuomintang legislators, arguing that they gambled on the political coldness of voters in the majority of organizational votes, and were supported by the Red League's media. Tsai pointed out that the KMT's indiscriminate budget cut has aroused the anger of voters, even the politically cold group. In particular, the actions of the blue and white legislators have damaged people's livelihoods, which may lead to an increase in the Taiwanese people's dislike for the Kuomintang. Tsai Yujin also believes that because of the excessive expansion of the Master Party, it will lose the support of the Taiwan people. News highlights Cheng Hong'ai will celebrate his father's 100th birthday this year and plans to travel with his family. He revealed that the secrets of his father's longevity included long-term farming, eating homegrown brown rice and vegetables, frequent sun exposure, and living a simple life that was not affected by modern stressors. He also mentioned that his father worked a lot, which was also one of the factors for longevity. In addition, Zheng Hong'ai also said that the Chinese New Year party will give red envelopes to her grandchildren as an education fund, showing her deep affection for her family. News highlights in the face of the 2026 election campaign, Huang Qiuakang, acting chairman of the People's Party, said that he did not rule out running for county and city heads, but he would devote himself to the election campaign no matter what, whether it was a by-election for the whole of Taiwan or in person. In this regard, lawyer Lin Heekan criticized Huang Qiuakang for never making substantial investment, saying that he always played business without capital, pointing out that Huang Qiuakang did not rely on his own strength to succeed in the past political process, but relied on other people's power or votes. He also criticized Huang for changing the direction of the People's Party for the new Taipei mayoral election, and questioned whether it would lead to a decline in the party in the future. News highlights a man surnamed Li in Tainan was extremely dissatisfied with the fact that one of the fried dumplings he bought was burnt, and went to the stall many times to make trouble, and even demanded that the owner publish an apology and attack him with words such as fried dumplings will get cancer. Li Nan not only refused the operator's refund or replacement, but also took the money to throw the stall, asked to sell charred fried dumplings, and insulted the owner that selling fried dumplings would be immoral and affect future generations. His actions have violated the law of social order, and the court sentenced him to a fine of 8,000 yuan. Although Li Nan denied committing the crime and claimed that he had forgotten the incident because he had taken the medicine, the court held that his actions exceeded the normal scope of handling and should still be punished. News highlights actress S traveled to Japan with her family during the Spring Festival, and unfortunately contracted influenza complicated by pneumonia and died suddenly at the age of 48. Chinese actor Liang Yushin died suddenly on the second day of the Lunar New Year, thinking it was just a cold, and his condition deteriorated rapidly. The cause of Liang Yushin's death was a central nervous system infection, and he chose to be admitted to the hospital alone during the Chinese New Year, and finally passed away alone, which is sad. News highlights South Korea's 28-year-old MBC weather anchor Woo Yeon committed suicide in September last year, and her family recently found that she left a 2,750-word suicide note, accusing 4 meteorological anchors of bullying. MBC initially denied it, saying that Woo Yao did not complain to management, but the mobile phone recording revealed the truth. As a result, Kim King announced her withdrawal from the Good Morning FM program, and the audience boycott continued to ferment. Woo Yeon was found to be suspected of self-harm after being ostracized, and the bullying incident has attracted widespread attention, and MBC has not yet responded further. News highlights musician Wang's Haiping lamented the death of S, saying that she was an eternal angel in her heart, and recalled that she helped Big S name the group Sue's sisters, S.O.S. Wang's Haiping revealed that S turned to him for help to name the girl group, and later S.O.S became their golden signboard. Wang Weishong is the nobleman they are most grateful for, helping them to get back up from failure and finally step into the hosting world. Big S once said that he hopes to become a funny diva, and this memory is also deeply regrettable. News highlights when the artist S was soaking in a hot spring in Hakone, Japan, he was weak and contracted the flu, which sparked a discussion about whether he should go to the hot spring. Doctors point out that if it is only mild cold symptoms, such as runny nose and sneezing, it is okay to soak in hot springs or hot baths in moderation. However, if there is a systemic reaction to an illness such as influenza or pneumonia, soaking in hot springs may increase cardiovascular risk, leading to dehydration or heart strain. Doctors recommend staying indoors and avoiding going out to take a bath if you have a viral infection. News highlights DeepSeek, a Chinese AI startup, has attracted attention for its high-paying recruitment, offering positions that include deep learning researcher with an annual salary of up to NT $6.93 million and an internship salary of NT $4,500. Despite the attractive remuneration, DeepSeek's information security issues have also come into focus. Security studies have shown that the company's systems have a 100% success rate and may respond to bad behaviors such as making weapons, leading countries or institutions such as Taiwan, Australia, Italy, and the United States to ban their systems due to concerns about information security risks. News highlights the artist S died of influenza complicated by pneumonia, setting off a wave of vaccine rush. A clinic in Kaohsiung added 40 publicly funded vaccines, and people braved the cold wind to line up for vaccination. More than 24,000 doses were administered in Taichung City in 3 days, and the number of severe cases of influenza reached 67, causing 15 deaths. The city's health chief said the flu outbreak was the worst in 5 years. People have said that they decided to get vaccinated after seeing the news of Big S. Despite the tight supply of publicly funded vaccines, self-paid vaccines are still available for enhanced protection. News highlights a resort hall in Kaohsiung community has been suspended and abandoned for nearly 20 years because the original construction group was involved in absorbing more than 2 billion yuan. The hall was seized due to tax arrears of 6.5 million, and it was not sold at an auction of 430 million yuan 2 years ago, and the bid was failed many times after the price was reduced. A few days ago, it was successfully sold for 180 million yuan, and the buyer was a legal person of a real estate development company, and the future use was not disclosed. The clan has been abandoned for a long time, and has been invaded by thieves and homeless people, and the local residents are looking forward to possible future development plans. News highlights the United States Postal Service, USPS, announced that it will suspend accepting packages from Chinese mainland in Hong Kong with immediate effect, and mail and piecemeal will not be affected. The decision was made against the backdrop of the reciprocal tariffs imposed by the United States and China, and it is not yet clear how long the suspension will last. The move sparked stock market volatility, with Hong Kong e-commerce stocks such as Alibaba, JD.com, and Baozun e-commerce all falling. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a 10% tariff on Chinese goods, while China has retaliated with tariffs on U.S. goods. Trump plans to speak with Chinese President Xi Jinping for further talks. News highlights the CDC pointed out that in the 4th and 5th weeks, the number of influenza outpatient and emergency visits reached 250,000, led by type A H1N1, and severe cases increased. The majority of deaths were among unvaccinated elderly people over 65 years old. The CDC calls on high-risk groups to get vaccinated against influenza and COVID-19 as soon as possible to reduce the risk of severe disease. Crowds gather during the spring festival holiday, and the risk of epidemic transmission increases, so vaccination is crucial. News highlights recently, a video appeared in the carriage of the NorthJet, showing a group of bicycle riders hanging their bicycles on the passenger grip and shaking them as the train moved, which caused criticism from netizens. Beja said that such behavior would affect driving safety, and punished passengers who did not listen to persuasion in accordance with the Great Victory Law, with a fine of NT $1,500 to NT $7,500. According to the regulations, bicycles must be parked in designated areas and carried with them, and it is forbidden to occupy seats or leave bicycles alone. NorthJet urges passengers to report any unusual situation immediately. News highlights the leader of the Bamboo Union Gang, Huang Xiaosan, nicknamed Mom, died yesterday at the age of 75. Huang Xiaosan rose to prominence in Taiwan's gangster scene, served as the leader of the Bamboo Union Gang for many years, and became famous in 1984 for slashing rival gang bosses in the streets. Although no successor was appointed during his lifetime, Liu Zhenyi's, Meng Weiqiang, and Li Zongkui are currently regarded as possible successors, among which Liu Zhenyi's is the most vocal because of his outstanding performance in the Lian Shengguan shooting case. The succession issue of the Bamboo Union Gang has become the focus of attention from the outside world. News highlights the new drug zombie cartridges quickly became popular in Taiwan, causing a serious impact on social security. The drug is made from chemicals such as etomidate, which can trigger an anesthetic effect when smoked with an e-cigarette device, causing slow movements and uncontrollable autonomic nervous system, so named because its effect is similar to that of zombies in movies. The drug has spread rapidly in recent years, especially in high school campuses, where not only students have become drug heads, but even instructors have ingested it by mistake, resulting in a large number of teenagers being poisoned. Despite the government's intensification of investigations and punishments, the epidemic of zombie bombs is still worrying, and further response is urgently needed. News highlights Big S, Su Ziwan, unfortunately passed away in Japan due to influenza complicated by pneumonia. Physician Su Yifeng explained that the so-called big white lung refers to severe pneumonia that causes the alveoli to be filled with phlegm and inflamed water, which makes it impossible to exchange gas effectively, resulting in difficulty in breathing. In this case, even if the patient is straining to breathe, the blood oxygen still drops, and if not treated in time, it may quickly lead to cardiac arrest and breathing, and even death. Dr. Su added that the SS condition was caused by pneumonia caused by influenza and sepsis, and the combination of the two caused her condition to deteriorate dramatically. News highlights Big S, Su Ziwan, unfortunately died of influenza complicated by pneumonia in Japan at the age of 48. Her husband Gu Junyi was deeply shocked, had an emotional breakdown, and was once rumored to be missing, which made the outside world very worried about his condition. South Korean fashion designer Lee Sang-bong revealed that in a private conversation with Gu Junyi, he showed a fragile and delicate personality, which made Lee Sang-bong worried about his ability to endure the loss of his wife. Lee Sang-bong tries to comfort his friend, encourage him to cheer up, and pray for the S. News highlights Big S died of influenza complicated by pneumonia in Japan at the age of 48. After her ex-husband Wang Xiaofei learned about it, she immediately returned to Taiwan and left a message on Duyan wife, "I miss you so much," which caused disgust among netizens, and even soured I should be the one who died. Wang Xiaofei then responded, saying that she was wrong, and thanked everyone for their concern for Big S. His actions aroused doubts from the outside world, and netizens criticized him for being a performative personality. News highlights Big S unfortunately passed away due to influenza complicated by pneumonia at the age of 48. Some netizens speculated that she may have been infected by Chen Jianzhou and Fan Wiki when she attended Wang Weishong's daughter's Ginning family banquet, because the two only posted on January 22 that the whole family had the flu, and 3 days later attended the wedding with the S and did not wear a mask. Doctors pointed out that the incubation period of influenza is 3 to 5 days, so the time of Big S infection coincides. Subsequently, the black history of Fan Jian and his wife's violation of the new Crown epidemic prevention regulations in the past was revealed, and netizens criticized one after another, and even blew up Fan Wiki's IG. News highlights Big S died of influenza complicated by pneumonia at the age of 48. Ex-husband Wang Xiaofei broke down emotionally after learning the news, and then expressed his nostalgia on social platforms, and posted "It should be me going." Wang's actions have raised questions that he has failed to take into account the feelings of his current wife, Mandy. Ophthalmologist Wang Yujia also criticized Wang Xiaofei, thinking that he used this to attract attention again, and posted a post pointing out that Wang Xiaofei's tears would not last, and prayed for the S to rest in peace. News highlights U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order announcing that the United States would withdraw from the United Nations Human Rights Council, UNRWA, and the United Nations Relief and Relief Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, UNRWA, and would review U.S. participation in and funding for the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. This move is a further review and adjustment of the United Nations agencies by the U.S. government. News highlights meteorological expert Lynn Dean reminded that from February 7 to February 10, the early morning will be affected by a strong continental cold air mass, and there will be a cliff-like cooling down, challenging the third wave of cold snap this year. The intensity, duration, and impact of this wave of cold air mass are stronger than those of the previous wave, and the coldest period is expected to be on 8 and February 9. The minimum temperature is expected to drop to 7 to 9 degrees in the north and northeast, 8 to 11 degrees in the center, 10 to 15 degrees in the south, 11 to 14 degrees in Penghu, 6 to 8 degrees in Jinma, and even lower in the near mountains and open areas.